Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Healing Conversations. My name is Einav Avni with Untangled Coaching, and here with me today is Alex Dumas. Hi, Alex. How are you today?
Hey, now thank you. I'm doing great. Glad to be here. Excited to be invited on this program.
Excellent. Thank you. So, tell me, today's topic of conversation is using coaching for healing and thriving. How did we get into that topic?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'll go backwards a little bit and we'll time travel into my journey into coaching. And even before that, my background in college was psychology, and I worked in the mental health field space for almost 10 years with individuals with different abilities, with special needs, autism, cognitive impairments, cerebral palsy. So that was my work with being a hands-on staff and then eventually managing staff and moving, transitioning a few years into the workforce and then out of that industry into more sales and marketing and things like that. I found this thing called coaching in 2016, and it was really interesting. It was really fascinating for me. It was like the light bulb turned on with all these things I wanted to do and helping people and just being of service to people. That was kind of my operating principle already. I wouldn't say I was coaching already before I knew it, but maybe there's a degree of it that I was. And what I found through coaching and being coached and just learning more about myself and learning more about the human mind, our human experiences, was how much stuff I was carrying, how much baggage, how much limiting beliefs, um, how much I don't want to get heavy, but like just trauma, things we carry in our bodies, in our mind, and it was just with me, it was just carrying with me, and what I started to unpack was through the work of coaching was really diving deep in those things and being honest, being truthful, being to a degree ruthlessly truthful about it, and not hiding, not sugarcoating, also not beating myself down if it was something that I made a mistake. Right, if I miscue an error, I could look at it objectively, like, all right, this is what happened, this is what I did, this is my role in it, I can take responsibility. That's what coaching has really helped me expand and explore within myself, is how do I take responsibility for everything in my life? And from that place, that's where I find fun in it, because now I don't have to point the finger. Before, everybody was the problem, right? She's the problem, he made me do this, my parents were like this, my brothers, my sister, my cousin, it's everybody else's fault. And then I realized, like, oh wait, okay. Every time there's been something great in my life, I've been there, and every time there's been something not so desirable, I've always been there too. So I'm the common factor here. So what is it about me that is creating and attracting and bringing these things into my life? And coaching's really helped me sort that out and be conscious about that, and not just living life default and just, well, this is just the way it is, this is the way I am, and this is how it's always going to be. Like, that's not true. I can
Mm,
reinvent, and that's where the healing has come from, recognizing that, oh, I have a choice, right? The
mm.
choice is like the healing for me. That's the start of it. And then obviously actions and the follow through comes with that. But just being aware to it was really powerful for me.
What is interesting for me is that a lot of the time, in my coaching, for example, we go as deep as we can. There's no limit to how deep we can go with people, or I can go with my clients. But a lot of the time, before people start working with me, they always ask me, what is the difference between coaching and therapy? So it's interesting for me that you say that you started with psychology background, and then actually it's the actual coaching that helped you to get to where you are today.
Yeah. Yeah. And this isn't a knock on people who engage in therapy. I didn't take therapy or anything like that back when I was younger. So coaching is pretty much all I've really known, as far as allowing somebody else to peek inside my brain and help me explore different things. But what I see as that difference was, psychology and therapy and things of that nature really dealing with the past, right? Of healing those things, healing these old wounds of fixing, even though we're not broken people, but fixing these different areas. And then what I found with coaching was this idea of future thinking of, all right, what is it I'm doing right now, and what do I want to create, or what's something I want to work towards, and who do I get to become as a result of that. And that was exciting for me. That was, it was no different from your favorite superhero movies, right? They're going on their journey, and it's like they're hit with these challenges, they're hit with these stressors, they're hit with these outside factors, and they have to find within them, like, oh, I have the power. I can like tear my shirt open and put on the cape, and then I get to not be a savior for people, but I get to help people in a different way. And that's the future focus for me. So anyone who is using therapy as a tool, go with it, use it, like apply it, right? And also recognize, hey, maybe there's opportunities for coaching too that will help you design the life that you really want, versus feeling as if there's no choice, your default, and you're kind of stuck.
Yeah. And so you're saying that you started working with a coach, and that's when you discovered your superhero powers. Uh, what
Yeah.
was next on that journey?
I'm sorry, say that question again.
Once you've recognized and discovered your superhero powers, what was next on your journey?
Oh, okay, yeah. What was next for me was implementing things, and that took a while. See, it was this distinction that was given to me from Steve Chandler about information versus transformation. In the first few years of through 2016 through about 2018, 2019, it was about just consuming. I wanted to just be in this growth space of like listening to positive music, positive podcasts, audiobooks, reading books, magazines, being in Facebook groups, and having conversation with people. And what turned around for me was looking at, all right, I have all this information, I have all this knowledge, but applied knowledge is the power. What am I going to do with it? What am I going to use with it? Okay, well, let me start having conversation with people. Let me start talking to people. Let me help them. Let me serve people, versus what I would say is coming from like the intellectual side of like, what, well, I know that, and this was how it's supposed to be, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, I can slow that down, be with people, connect with people, and just learn about them, be curious. And that's really how things have transformed for me, as far as everything in my life, with relationship with my wife, my kids, myself, my faith, all these different things. That just slow down, be curious, and just create the relationship with people. Have no attachment to it. And that's been a very valuable superpower that's been unleashed, awakened within me. It was already there, but I just needed that guidance, that support to say, let's look at it this way, right? It's, I'm seeing it like this, like what's going on here? And then like, oh my goodness, okay, I got it,
My
right?
goodness.
That's the transformation. That's what it takes sometimes. So you got to go through these moments of kind of no clarity, no direction. But if we can kind of close that gap, at least for me, that's what worked for me, closing that gap of, hey, this is what you need to see. All right, now I know where to go. Now I can be confident and certain, versus, I don't know. Hopefully I do this right. Hopefully I don't break this person.
Yeah, and for me, I like what you're saying, because it's I really believe that our purpose on this world is always to serve others. It's always about the connection with others and lifting others and helping others on their journey. And,
Yeah,
and it's really, to me, that's transformation. It's from self-serving to, world serving, and that's when you really know that you're doing something meaningful here.
yeah. It's something I say all the time with leaders I work with is, what's your vision? Is your vision big enough that everybody else can see themselves inside of it? And what I mean by that is your desire, your commitment to serve people at such a high level that no matter what, you're open to it. You serve not from a place of getting, right? If someone's listening to this and they're like, wow, this is making sense, I'm just going to serve, and then hopefully I can collect later on, right? I'm going to come back to collect the bill. It doesn't work like that. You serve enough people, help enough people with their problems, and money won't be a challenge. Finding clients, things of that nature, because you just you're helping people. You're being a professional about it. You're not just giving, but like
Yeah,
you're making a difference.
yeah, absolutely. So tell me a little bit about the people that you are now working with.
Yeah, a lot of the best work I've done has been with other coaches, and the recurring themes. Everybody's different, but different things come up that are kind of pile in to be the same thing, where maybe a challenge with their identity, right? Of just recognizing who they are, what their self worth is, what their values are, and that can look like they may say things like, "Oh, I'm not confident here. I don't know how to create a client here. I don't know how to do this, and that." And we just slow it down and start looking at what are your successes, right? What have you done before, and how did you figure that out, and this and that, because we already have everything inside of us already. I'm a
Mm.
big believer in that nobody necessarily needs coaching. I love to work with people that want it, that are enthusiastic, that are driven, that are relentless, ambitious, that are fun, and that will really bring their best self to it so that they get the most out of it. And so looking at the worth, is a big thing. People that are, people that I work with, it's kind of a requirement to have a lot of integrity, right? To do the things you say you're going to do, pay when you say you're going to pay, like all these things, show up on time when you say you're going to show up. And it just
Mm.
helps relax both of us. I don't have to be in a state of like, oh my goodness, is this person going to be here? Or they're going to, and then they're not worried about me. Like, oh my goodness, is Alex going to show up? What's going on? Like, no, we speak it. It's done. It's clear and concrete, and we get to play. And that's what my coaching really is about just playing with different things, experimenting, testing things out. And I love working with people that do it, and coaches already in that mind state already. I love working with other entrepreneurs. I've worked with teachers and administrators and people all sorts of different industries. And if you're somebody who's growth minded, right, who's excited about life and enthusiastic, then we're gonna have a great time. We're gonna have great conversations.
Mhm. So, what do you tell someone that says to you, and I think that's a question that comes up. I hear it a lot from coaches, but also, other people, other entrepreneurs, other people that they all of a sudden find that they need to be out there. So, really being exposed and being vulnerable, being visible, and a lot of the time, what I see is that people have you know, a real let's not go there kind of attitude. There obviously is all subconscious and stuff, but
Yeah.
how do you help people like that to help them get into that place that actually being visible is exactly what they're meant to be doing here in this life?
Yeah. Great question. I would really first start exploring, that why behind it. Like, why do you want to be visible, and what's stopping that? What's getting in the way of that? And what's the worst case scenario? And it sounds harsh, but I do it in a playful way, because once we start to name those things, they lose their power. It's like, I don't want to be visible because I'm afraid of being judged. Well, who's judging you? Like, what are their names? Right? I'll say that to people, like, give me their names. What's their number? We'll call them up right now, and I'll bully them. Like, hey, get off the, don't you dare bully this person. They're like, hey, that doesn't happen. But once they start to see that, it's like, oh, that's just me. I'm the only one holding it in my head of, oh, I'm afraid of looking bad and this and that. And that's just where we come from, the place of unpacking. I'm like, are you more committed to serving people and making a difference, or are you more committed to looking good? And
Good
so
question.
we gotta figure that out. You want to look good, you want to help people. If you want to look good, then continue doing what you're doing. There's no judgment here. But if you want to help people, then you're going to be open and willing to make mistakes. Be open and willing to looking silly, to putting things out on social media if that's what you want to do, and nobody responds, nobody's liking liking or commenting. Okay, and keep going. Help somebody. Don't But don't allow yourself to be a brittle spirit of, man, nobody showed up to my workshop, or nobody showed up to this webinar, nobody is jumping on a coaching call with me. Like, I guess I should quit. It's, you gotta, it takes a strong spirit, no matter what kind of business it is. You have to really be committed to this and see the long call game. Like, am I really here to make a difference and help people? And that's where I come with people, and we go deep in that, and then the answer reveals itself for them, like whether they really are about what they want to create.
And that's a really good point, right? Because so often people, and coaches, but not only, or any entrepreneur really, it's there is that expectation that as soon as I put something out there, I am going to be seen, and I am going to get some engagement and feedback, and it's not always the case. So
Yeah.
maybe these days, maybe it's more often not the case than than what we want. But it's a very fair point to help people see that it is a longer game. It's not about just the, hey, I've put something out there. What can I,
Yeah.
what happens with that?
Yeah. I mean, you think about these Facebook ads, things that like you see on social media, Instagram ads. These are huge machines. What I mean by machine, like agencies, corporations, businesses that are putting in thousands of dollars so that you can see them for 15, 30 seconds, right? I don't see how it's possible to compete with them, because they're competing against each other and they're having a hard enough time, getting your attention. So while everybody's screaming or being loud, you have an opportunity to be a whisper. You have the opportunity to be a little bit more silent and get into somebody's ear, get to somebody's heart, and connect with them in a really personal way versus, hey, seven steps to seven figures in 7 seconds, and all this stuff, and you're like, wow, it's shiny, it's loud, I want that. It's like, well, that might have worked for that person. That doesn't mean it's going to work for you. And there's nothing, I'm not knocking that, but just recognize that, for me right now, you see my body here. If I go out later and say, you know what, I'm going to start dunking basketballs and I'm going to take on LeBron James, you'd be like, that's likely not going to be successful for you unless you're really training for years and do all these different things. Like, it's going to take those repetitions.
So what does that mean to whisper in your ear? What is the opposite of doing all the 7 figures in 7 seconds?
Yeah. The opposite of that for me is just slowing down, taking your time with the people in your, what I call orbit, or your circle, who you can help already right now. Right. I don't want to go to like the next galaxy. Like, oh man, who out there can I help? Like, who's out there? And then someone's like, you know what? I'm having trouble with my wife. I'm having trouble with my job. Yeah. That's nice. Hold on. I'm trying to find somebody to help. So there's somebody out there, like, right? We do this. What if there was an opportunity, you slow down, maybe there's 3 people today you want to connect with, 5 people, whatever the number is. And you just take your time and you start engaging with them like a real person. Like, hey, how's it going? What's new in your world? Right? People aren't robots. They're not aliens, right? They're no different from like your parents, your siblings. Everybody's got challenges. Everybody's got things they want to improve on. So just solve a problem. Just help them. But you take your time and find out what that is. Like, hey, what's going on? Oh, I heard you were doing this in your business, or you're teaching now, or you're doing this. Like, how's that going? Like, what's up? And it's not you being nosy, right? You got this thing about like, I don't want to be nosy. I don't want to intrude. Well, to create what you want, sometimes you got to kick in the door a little bit and be like, hey, what's going on? No. Tell me the truth. Don't give me the surface answer. Like, what's the real deal?
Yeah.
And it's not aggressive or assertive. It's you serving from love. If I care about somebody, I want to know what's up in their world. And if I can help them, I can help them. If I can't, then I can't. But at least I'm giving them an opportunity to express themselves.
Very much needed, I think, in this world.
Yeah.
I remember when I was just training as a coach, one of the things that the first, I think, well, I think it's the first thing that comes up as soon as you start doing your practice sessions and stuff, and it's that worry that someone is going to come in and pay you all this money, and you're not going to be able to give them the value for the money. And that is like a, a really number one fear. And then you kind of understand that actually just by sitting with them for an hour or an hour and a half, whatever the duration is, just giving people the opportunity to speak uninterrupted for an hour is already huge value, because we don't get the chance. I mean, how many of us sit with, our, families, friends and stuff, and still feel so lonely and so unseen or unheard? So even that, just that opportunity to sit with someone and be able to open up and to share things is already so incredible.
Yeah, it's a gift. It really is. I love what you said there. If somebody's feeling unseen and unheard, and then as a coach, you come in and you just your best gift is just your generous listening. Hey, what's going on? Tell me more about that. And what do you see possible from that? Whatever questions you want to throw out, and there's so often that I'll say maybe like 2-3 sentences in an hour, and they're like, "Man, this is great. This has been best conversation I've ever had." I'm like, I didn't say anything. Like I didn't, it's not the typical game of like, all right, you say something, now I'm ready to say something. Like,
Yeah,
slow it down.
yeah,
Where are you
very
coming from?
different kind of
There we go.
conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so tell me, so you mentioned that you're mostly working with coaches and entrepreneurs, but really, where is the starting point that they join you, and what is it that they're getting at the end of it? Who are they when they leave?
Mm. I say that when they're walking away from me, they're walking away more certain of what they're up to in the world. They're more creative. They're more confident, and that may not sound like a very tangible thing. Like, oh my goodness, like I thought you were just going to get them like X amount of dollars. Like that will come. I'm not worried about that. And there might be specific things we look at. I like to my coaching agreements. I call them projects, and depending on our what we call like an agreement call, enrollment call, I'm listening for like, oh, what are they saying? What are they saying? And then I find a thing, and that's what we're going to focus on. And we both agree on that. And depending on what that is, it's something along the lines like, hey, they just feel lighter, right? And how do you describe feeling lighter? Well, when you're weighed down by things, now things are on your mind, things are heavy. You can't see things, you can't see opportunities. So when people are walking away with me, they're like, wow, I didn't even know like these 3 things were available to me. But that's all it took was just take your time. Let's take a breath. Let's relax a little bit, and then find a way to make this fun and make this enjoyable. And I think that's what people walk away from me the most with, like just more energy, more enthusiasm. And how does that translate into business? Well, if you're excited about something, you're enthusiastic, you're going to do better work. You're going to respond to emails in a different way. You're going to respond to client questions and inquiries a different way versus, oh man, another problem. You look forward to problems now. It's like, man, another thing to solve. I get to use my brain power. I get to use my creativity to figure out a solution versus, oh, I'm scared of this problem. I don't want problems. Well, don't be in business then, because problems are coming. life in life, there's always gonna be problems. So
Yeah.
get creative and deal with it, or be where you don't want to be. It's
I
simple
think I
choice.
think there is a perception that the coaching is a very easy kind of profession,
Yeah.
and I get that from some people sometimes, and they're like, right, I know I'm going to become a coach, and they do kind of think that they're going to find the client straight away, and they're going to make the money straight away, and I'm like, uh,
Yeah. I had this joke, and I still tell from time to time, but it's like when I first started out, it was very heavy on like getting attention, the attraction side. And I was like, you know what? They told me to build the funnel and they will come. Well, they weren't coming, right? I built it. I built all this up in the systems and this and that, and like nothing was happening. What did I forget? Oh, relationships, connecting with people. That's what is valuable when you think about businesses in the 1920s, 30s, 40s. They didn't have email lists. They didn't have webinars. They didn't have any of these tools. What did they do? Someone came into the shop. They got to find out about them. What do they like? What do they don't like? Do they have a family? Do they have kids? What can I offer that would be helpful for the kids and their family? Right?
Mm.
It's just human to human connection.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going we're coming to an end in a minute, but I know that you mentioned before, and to me it sounds perfect to mention the workshop that you're having at the end of the month. Maybe you can share a little bit about that.
Yeah, yeah, no problem. Thank you. So I'm hosting a 1 day workshop. I call it the 80% experience. And why I called it that is because what I've noticed with people I've worked with and just different conversations is there's this tendency for people to want to be perfect, to have everything lined up in a row. Everything's gonna be 100%, and then I'll take off. Like once this is here, then I'll get this, or then I'll be happy. It's like, what if we can just be 80% ready, right? What if we can just be like right there, just have an idea, have the seed, and then we expand on it. And that's what that 1 day workshop is going to be, literally just building out and creating things and getting clear and taking inspired action. And then afterwards, for those people that are there, I'm going to open up 5 days of laser coaching via this walkie-talkie app called Voxer. So
Yeah.
the workshop will be Saturday, September 24th or 25th, whatever the date is. And then the week after that, Monday through Friday, I'm a coach in your pocket for 5 days. So we get to work on the implementation, integration in a private Voxer chat. And you just basically rent my brain, ask me anything for that week.
Mm.
And that's how we're going to play. But the workshop itself is going to be the key thing of like, hey, let's just build something, and then you can start testing it out, because that's what I found for me works. Is I have an idea, I want to get it out as soon as possible so that I don't talk myself out of it. Like, well, this isn't ready. What if this needs to, like, that doesn't matter.
Mm.
Get clear on what you want to do, get clear on who you want to serve, and then we'll figure the rest of that out. So that's why it's 80% experience. It's a $500 investment to get on that, and I'm opening up for 3 people because I think anything more than that will wipe me out. So that'll be for 3 people, first come first serve. First 3, we play on the 24th for that afternoon, and we rock and roll for a week after that.
I love the idea of the 80%. This is it's so right, because perfectionism. I was talking with my daughter earlier, and I said to her, I said, well, perfectionism doesn't exist. And then I corrected her and I said, well, perfectionism exists, but perfect doesn't. And so, the 80% is really, it's a really fantastic way to help people to really go, cross that wall of fear of
Yeah,
wanting everything to be 100%.
and
80% is
tip
just
top.
good enough.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I
going to
love
be
it.
messy. That's where the fun is. I mean, when you look at a child, we're in the rain or in the backyard, they're coming home, they're dirty, they're sweaty, they're stinky, but they've had a blast. You know,
Yeah.
when you see somebody who's like coming from the inside and like kind of cleaned up, they're like, a little timid or shy. Maybe that's their personality, but like they didn't really experiment or didn't do anything, right?
Yeah.
This is for people who are action takers, that are not willing to allow fear to get in their way. It's like, I have an idea. I know that I'm coming from a heart-centered place, and this could be something powerful for people. Like, let's get into action, because that's all that's really stopping anybody, is just what their thoughts are and then what the action is. And then there's this gap here. Well,
Avoid.
working with me, the gap is closed. We go right, we go bang bang, and that can be scary for some people. But if you're
Yes,
not scared,
absolutely.
the 80% experience might be for you.
Yeah. Then we're going to share the link to that in the comments afterwards.
Yeah.
So, Alex, before we finish, what last message do you have for people watching and that help them in any way?
Yeah, this is something that I share, quite often on my daily show, Love Serve Care, my daily 3 minute podcast, and this is a core value. This is not just a tagline. This is not just something cute to say. This is something that I believe I create myself with every day. So, for you out there listening, please receive this and embody this as best you can. So, know and remember that you are born to live your life with abundance. You are the master of your future. You control your freedom, and you have complete dominance of your thoughts, your emotions, and your habits.
It's a good reminder. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, well, here we are at the end of our wonderful conversation. Thank you so much, Alex. I've really enjoyed it. Definitely like the 80% thing. That definitely sticks in my mind. But thank you very much. Thank
I
you for being here
appreciate.
with us.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.